Hey guys, Master Demigod here, back with another video on everyone's favorite game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Okay, but for real, you should know me by now. Oh, this is gonna be a fun video. But I promise to be serious in this video. Psych! This game is just the best. Alright, anyway, the topic of this video is why bigger games and game worlds aren't always better, and although I feel like this can be applied to a lot of open world games, our favorite game Odyssey just so happens to be a prime example of why bigger isn't always better in video games. So let's start with the open world. As I'm sure you know, Odyssey's open world is huge. It's the biggest open world of the Assassin's Creed series, and to some people that's great. A lot of people just love large open worlds, but when a world is this big, how detailed and rich actually is it? What's the quality of the content and missions packed in? To me at least, that quality is extremely poor. Assassin's Creed Odyssey's open world is so large that there is just tons of dead space, or a bunch of auto-generated land that either has a bunch of copy and pasted filler degrading tasks and side quests to waste your time, or there's just a randomly set up enemy encampment or outposts or something like that. Now usually this would be a large issue with other big open world games like Odyssey, but in games like The Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2, they actually have live world events. In Red Dead 2 there are so many unique scenarios that play out just when you're wandering the world. Sometimes you get robbed or run into someone asking for help and directions. It makes the world feel more alive and actually has you do something interesting rather than just staring at your auto-running horse run across a 30-mile area with nothing in it. Meanwhile, there are many other open world games that have smaller, more condensed worlds that have way more to see and do, and won't have you waste most of your time on your horse doing absolutely nothing. Take Assassin's Creed Unity, for example. The world is smaller while still being fairly large, and yet all traversal is done by parkour, something you actively must pay attention to. And not only that, but the game also throws like quick time events at you, like tackling a thief, killing some criminals, along with a bunch of skirmishes and fights breaking out in the streets. Assassin's Creed Unity is probably the best game of the series in terms of just free roaming and doing nothing, because there's always enemies to fight and some parkour to master. But in Odyssey, this holds only true for some of the cities, which aren't even close to as well designed as France from Unity, and these cities usually have hardly anything apart from maybe a couple side missions. And don't even get me started on the horrible mercenary system. I really liked the idea of the mercenary system. In fact, I really liked it in Assassin's Creed Origins because mercenaries are trying to hunt you down and find you in real time in the world. But in Odyssey, these mercenaries are automatically spawned and come straight towards your position, and they almost always get in the way when I'm trying to do a stealth run or some kind of mission. And of course, they have to have ridiculous amounts of health, so I either waste so much time fighting them, or I ended up fighting like 7 of them because while I was fighting one, a whole swarm of them decided to show up. The whole conquering nation thing and deciding between who rules what area of that between Athens and Sparta actually sounds really cool on paper, but there's like literally no change or effect on the story or world when you conquer a region for one of the factions. Not only that, but to conquer the regions, it's that good old copy and pasted formula of looting war chests, burning supplies, and then fighting in a larger scale battle. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a really cool idea, but the way it was executed made it feel grindy and pointless, which now that I think about it, that's exactly how I would label Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This world is so large that all the content and environments feel watered down and bare. The one content there is about as interesting and fun as me having to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey again for this video. But it's clear the game plan for making Odyssey was let's just make everything as bloated and huge as possible. The customization is ridiculous. There is so many gear options I can't even keep count, and I have to go through my inventory every 30 seconds. The world itself is literally 62% bigger than the world of Assassin's Creed Origins. There's over 100 hours worth of side quests, and of course the main story itself is also very long and requires you to play a lot of side quests just to be high enough level for the main quest line. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is absolutely massive, and when your game is that big, everything seems to lose the quality and detail that make us appreciate smaller, more rich games like The Last of Us or Uncharted, or even the original AC games. Odyssey just inflated and bloated everything to the point where it's all overwhelming and an absolute grind to complete and explore it all. And I'm so glad they decided to dial it back a little in Valhalla, especially the gear, because there's just way too much to sort and keep track of in your inventory in Odyssey. But I personally believe that open world games aren't better when they are bigger and filled with so many quests and gear options that you can hardly breathe. I prefer more focused, rich, and detailed games that prioritize quality over quantity and actually give you fun and intriguing side quests rather than just handing you a large checklist of boring filler missions. I honestly believe this is Odyssey's biggest flaw as an open world game. I mean, obviously it has its struggles in other areas too, but when I hear people say it's a really good open world RPG, I disagree with that because I've seen so many games similar to Odyssey, or at least similar to its scale, that were able to still make some really good quality worlds, stories, and missions. But I feel like when you are just blatantly trying to make the game as big as possible, you're bound to have a huge loss of quality when it comes to things like side quests and environments, and there's bound to be just tons of filler. Maybe you just like having lots of busy work and doing mindless tasks and grinding games like this. That's totally fine, but for someone like me, I don't like to waste my time doing a whole lot of nothing that is just there for the sake of inflating the game's scale and playtime. Again though, that's just my opinion, and even if you like Odyssey and its extremely inflated world and structure, that's totally okay. Although I feel like this is a big issue for the new AC games, not even just Odyssey. There's definitely still a few examples of this in Origins and Valhalla too. It's just not as apparent and as often since those two games were a bit more dialed back and weren't as massive as Odyssey. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this, and if you think Odyssey is just too big and too overambitious for its own good. I'm really curious what you guys think, and if you enjoyed the video and want to see more Assassin's Creed related videos like this, feel free to subscribe if you'd like, and other than that, thanks for watching and have a great day.